In this video, we're considering the difference between the rate of inflation and the decrease in your purchasing power over time. So the CSO calculate inflation based on the consumer basket of goods. And we'll just say that in year one, that came to €100. If in year two, that increased to €105, the rate of inflation then would be 5%. And the decrease in your purchasing power would also be 5%. So the goods are now 5% dearer. Let's say then that in year two, that changes to 110. The rate of inflation then has actually fallen. It's now 4.76%. But on the base year, your goods are now 10% dearer. Initially at €100, let's just say you had €100 in the bank, you would get a very small rate of interest on that. You will now buy 10% less goods for that €100, even though inflation hasn't been higher than 5%. We'll say then, continuing down to year three, the basket of goods goes to €114. Inflation has again fallen, it's now only 3.64%. That would not make too many headlines, but the decrease in the purchasing power of your €100 is now 14%. So we just continue and finish out the decade and keeping inflation pretty low, nothing to make the headlines, 5.26%. Let's just continue down then. So there's only 4.69%. So it's higher than governments would like, and it's higher than the ECB would like, but it's certainly nothing to make the headlines and nothing to alert the average consumer that, oh, inflation is very high, I must be more careful. The figures are not alarmingly high, 5.22%, and if you notice now we're up at 41% on the base year. And even though you may have received pay increases over this time, it's quite likely, and it has certainly happened in Ireland in the past, where public sector workers could go 8-10 years without any increase in pay. So that €100, let's say it was €100 a day you were earning in year one, by year 10 you're still only earning €100 a day, but your consumer basket of goods has now gone up by 48%. And then just finish out the decade, then just say 4.73. So just gone up through the rates of inflation there, nothing particularly alarming in these figures, but we can see then on the base year we're up at 55% increase on the base year, even though inflation never peaked above 6.67 was the highest rate of inflation there. And the reason for that, of course, is that the rate of inflation is calculated on the previous year. So whatever goods cost last year, the rate of inflation will only be the increase between this year and last year, not between this year and 7 or 8 years ago, the base year. But your wages or your salary may not have increased much since the base year. So you're earning €100 a day and your consumer basket of goods cost you €100. That's a day's wages going on your consumer basket of goods. At the end of the decade, you're still earning €100 a day, but your consumer basket of goods is now 55% more expensive, notwithstanding inflation only peaking at 6.67%.